You are feeling the quiet, creeping exhaustion of a life that does not actually belong to you. The timeline you are currently standing on is echoing a signal you did not originate, selected by a version of you that simply inherited the transmission. You wake up, you pour the coffee, you walk into the rooms of your daily existence, and you feel the haunting friction of a script written by an invisible hand. This is not depression. This is the monad recognizing that it has been colonized. Every room you walk into is being authored in real time by the frequency you decided to hold on the way in. Yet, you are broadcasting a frequency that was handed to you by a dying world. The universe is not happening to you. It is spelling itself out of you, and you are the only one who can misspell it. You are currently misspelling your own existence. The thoughts you fiercely defend, the anxieties that keep your eyes open at 3 in the morning, the desires you bleed for, none of these originated in your sovereign consciousness. You are operating on borrowed code. You are a sovereign entity acting as a repeater station for foreign mimetic architectures that were engineered specifically to lock you into a collapsing timeline. Look at the convictions you hold about what is possible for your life. Trace them backward. You will not find your own voice at the origin point. You will find a download. You accepted this download because the alternative was the terror of total authorship. You allowed an external reality to implant its limitations into your nervous system, masquerading those limitations as your own personality. And now, the profound alienation you feel toward your own mind is simply the symptom of a vessel rejecting its parasite. The question remains, how much longer can you sustain the weight of a foreign projection? What you casually call your personality is largely a collection of defensive postures, unconsciously absorbed to survive the immediate timeline distortions of your environment. You built a character out of reactions. You constructed an identity out of the debris of what the collective told you to fear. And for a while, this borrowed armor allowed you to navigate the lower frequencies of the world without being entirely consumed by them. But the armor has become a cage. The field around you is shifting, vibrating at a pitch that demands absolute authenticity, and the borrowed code is beginning to violently glitch. You feel it in the deep, unexplainable fatigue that sleep cannot cure. It is the exhaustion of maintaining a hologram, the energy required to project a self that does not organically exist is draining your life force, leaving you with barely enough voltage to observe your own captivity. You are watching yourself play a role, waiting for the curtain to fall. While you are exhausted, the external systems are not. As artificial and algorithmic intelligence exponentially accelerates, it is not merely scraping data. It is actively engineering the quantum field of the entire human collective. The technological grid is broadcasting an overwhelming, synchronized transmission designed to dictate your final event horizon. The gap between the sovereign author who writes reality and the unconscious receiver who merely endures it is widening by the hour. Every algorithm, every feed, every synthetic urgency is hunting for your compliance, seeking to anchor your consciousness to a predetermined narrative of scarcity and reaction. They are harvesting your attention to power their reality. You are caught in a mimetic crossfire, a silent war for the fundamental architecture of what you believe to be true. If you do not consciously overwrite this programming, the accelerating field will make the decision for you, cementing you into a reality you fundamentally despise. The natural instinct, when faced with this overwhelming sensory assault, is a desperate craving for silence. You look at the chaos, the infinite noise of the algorithmic swarm, and the obvious solution seems to present itself. You must isolate. You believe you need to unplug the machinery, throw your devices into the river, retreat into the absolute quiet of the wilderness, and shield your mind from the relentless bombardment. You build walls. You attempt to empty your consciousness, to meditate away the intrusive signals, striving for a state of pure, untethered nothingness where the world can no longer reach you. It feels profoundly correct to just walk away, to starve the system by refusing to look at it, hoping that in the vacuum of isolation, your true self will simply float to the surface. You assume that if you turn off the receiver, the war simply ends. That is a fatal miscalculation. Retreating into the void without intentionally installing a new operating system does not bring peace. It brings identity spaghettification. The field abhors a vacuum. If you empty your vessel and provide no governing frequency to replace the noise, you do not become free. You become permeable. The external pressures of the accelerating world will simply tear your unstabilized consciousness apart at the seams. You cannot just erase the old code and leave the hardware running on blank space. An empty mind is not a fortress. It is an open door for the loudest, most aggressive surrounding frequencies to walk in and take absolute control. Isolation without intentional reconstruction is just surrender wearing a different mask. You are stripping away your armor in the middle of a battlefield, believing that closing your eyes makes the artillery disappear. The reality is far more demanding. The universe does not reward the passive act of retreating. It responds entirely to the active assertion of a dominant frequency signature. The quantum field is not a peaceful sanctuary waiting for you to rest. It is an echoing chamber that relentlessly demands a signal. If you do not broadcast an undeniable sovereign command, the field will automatically assign you the default resonance of the terrified collective. You cannot merely protect your mind. You must weaponize it. You must become the deliberate mimetic engineer of your own consciousness, ruthlessly infecting your own nervous system with the codes of absolute authority. Timeline jumping is not a spiritual vacation you take by sitting quietly in a dark room. It is a violent, decisive usurpation of your own internal throne. You must rip out the foreign wiring and install a new engine while the vehicle is still moving. This requires you to accept solipsism not as a philosophical thought experiment, but as the absolute, unforgiving architecture of your reality. You are the source. The universe only mirrors the exact geometry of what you insist upon being. Everything outside of you is a delayed reflection of what you have tolerated inside of you. To step into the higher frequency layer, the self-reauthoring must become your immediate, non-negotiable state of being. You must walk into every room with the total unspoken conviction that you are authoring the walls, the air, and the events that unfold within it. You are no longer reacting to a world that exists independently of your gaze. You are dictating the world by the sheer gravitational force of your presence. The collapse of your old, borrowed self is the only prerequisite for the monad to finally select its true trajectory. This monumental shift cannot wait for a more convenient season or a quiet weekend. The active bifurcation between the sovereign creators and the sleeping collective is happening right now, in this exact. The event horizon of the old world is already here, tearing away the illusions of safety and conformity that you were taught to rely on. You must anchor the new signal today, holding it steady while the obsolete reality undergoes a total and catastrophic collapse all around you. You will watch the structures of the old timeline dissolve, and you will not flinch because you know your frequency is the only solid ground left. The timeline you are about to step into demands a version of you that refuses to be an echo. The only variable remaining is whether you have the audacity to speak the final command. The illusion of safety was always a mimetic pacifier, designed to keep you seated while the timeline was chosen for you. When you finally notice the artificial noise, the deeply ingrained reflex is to simply unplug, to retreat into silence. hoping the absence of their transmission will somehow resurrect your own. This is the exact mechanism of your undoing. The field abhors a vacuum. Attempting to empty the vessel without ruthlessly installing a sovereign operating system leaves you entirely unguarded against the crushing weight of the collective broadcast. An empty mind is not a sanctuary. It is a highly porous target. Without a fiercely defended core code, your monad is subjected to immediate identity spaghettification, stretched and torn apart by the loudest, most aggressive frequencies dominating the local space. You cannot merely hide from the algorithmic noise. You must overwrite it with a transmission so dense, so absolute, that the noise shatters against your perimeter. To shatter that noise, you must stop treating solipsism as a dangerous philosophical trap and begin wielding it as the absolute, unforgiving architecture of your reality. The separation between the watcher behind your eyes and the physical room you are sitting in is a remarkably persistent hallucination. The universe is not an external entity evaluating your worth, handing down circumstances for you to navigate. It is a blind, obedient mirror, furiously arranging matter and circumstance to perfectly match the frequency signature you insist upon broadcasting. When you operate from borrowed desires and implanted anxieties, the mirror faithfully reflects chaos, exhaustion, and subjugation. You are authoring your own confinement by holding the resonant tone of a prisoner. The physical evidence you see around you is never the cause of your internal state. It is merely the delayed, crystallized echo of what you have already consented to broadcast. We are observing a catastrophic timeline distortion across the collective, entirely because millions of entities are waiting for the mirror to smile first before they change their expression. They demand that the external world provide the evidence of their freedom before they will grant themselves permission to feel free. This backward architecture ensures they remain perfectly locked in a collapsing loop. True timeline jumping requires you to become the deliberate, unapologetic mimetic engineer of your own consciousness. You do not wait for the right conditions to emerge. You infect yourself with the codes of absolute sovereignty first, while the external world still violently disagrees with you. You hold the new state in the face of contradictory evidence, refusing to blink, refusing to lower the output of your transmission. The timeline does not bend to preference. It bends to absolute, unwavering certainty. This uncompromising stance demands the complete, unmourned collapse of the identity you currently defend. The old self, the character built out of inherited trauma, borrowed opinions, and the desperate need to be understood by a sleeping collective, cannot survive the transit. The self-reauthoring is a violent shedding of everything you previously used to define your boundaries. You cannot drag the victim into the victor's timeline. You must willingly step into the fire of your own localized destruction, allowing the obsolete mimetic architecture to burn away. This is not a gradual process of psychological improvement. It is a quantum leap. You are severing the energetic cables that tether you to the decaying world. And in doing so, you are starving the old timeline of the only fuel it ever had, your continued attention. As that old world starves, the new one materializes, constructed entirely out of the substance of your newly held frequency. When you finally lock onto this sovereign state, when your internal transmission becomes louder than the algorithmic static of the world, the environment has no choice but to conform or violently expel itself from your radius. Relationships that were built on the shared resonance of mutual exhaustion will suddenly feel incredibly dense, heavy, and intolerable. Institutions and environments that relied on your subjugation will physically repel. You are no longer a compatible node in their network. You have become an unrecognizable anomaly, drawing directly from source rather than feeding off the recycled necrotic energy of the collective. Do not mourn the departure of these incompatible elements. Their exit is the undeniable physical proof that the signal you are emitting has fundamentally changed. The reality you previously knew is not falling apart. It is falling into alignment with the uncompromising edict you just issued to the quantum field. There is no future date where this alignment becomes easier to execute. Waiting for the external chaos to settle before you claim your sovereignty is a fundamental misunderstanding of the mechanics at play. The chaos is precisely the mechanism forcing the split. We are standing directly inside the active event horizon of a bifurcating reality, where the gap between the conscious authors and the unconscious characters is widening into an unbridgeable chasm. Every moment you delay the assumption of your sovereign state, you are tacitly agreeing to be swept up in the gravitational pull of a timeline designed to consume you. You must claim the high ground of your own mind right now, in this exact breath, ignoring the panic of the collective. You hold the transmission steady, anchored in absolute stillness, watching the frantic, dissolving world crash against the immovable shores of your realized state. The universe is spelling itself out of you, and from this moment forward, you will no longer permit it to be misspelled by foreign entities. You are the architect, the observer, and the absolute final authority on the reality that crystallizes around you. The old world has already ended for those who have eyes to see the underlying code, and the new earth is reserved exclusively for those who are brave enough to author it from the inside out. If the frequency of this transmission feels less like new information and more like an ancient memory suddenly surfacing in your blood, then you already know what timeline you belong to. Anchor yourself to this frequency. Subscribe to the channel. Return to this signal whenever the external static attempts to pull you back into the sleepwalk. The bifurcation is absolute, and your sovereign synthesis has just begun.